special thanks to all being able to make it today and sort of your experience with us. So I guess like the general format, we've prepared a couple of questions that we figured would be like common or general questions that would be good to answer, as well as we're going to open up like sort of the floor to a general Q&A for the last 5 to 10 minutes. So with that being said, I guess we can just start. So our first question is, could you sort of tell us about yourself, your experience, and just what you've learned so far?
Is it done?
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Audrey. Sorry, I didn't catch the last bit of your question. Could you repeat that?
Oh, sure. Just sort of tell us about yourself, your math experience, and yeah, anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Audrey, and I'm currently a junior at Stuyvesant High School in New York City. And I've been doing math since maybe like kindergarten or first grade. I think that was when I took my first math kangaroo, and I've done like competition math for basically my entire life since then, which is a lot of years. And so obviously I love math a lot and I like competing. I think it's fun. I like how I get to meet different people, like especially at in-person contests. I think they're really fun. I'm a member of math team. I've been in math team since middle school, and I currently help to run Stuyvesant's math team. And I'm also a member of New York City's math team. And so I travel with them to different contests, and it's really fun because we get to go on trips and we don't have to pay for them. So yeah, it's just a really nice experience. And then I also like to teach people math. Um, I do, I'm part of a teaching internship and I also run like a volunteer organization for teaching because I think it's important to do math early and first of all, figure out if you like it. If you like it, that's great. And it's something you should continue with. And it's awesome to find that out early so you can get like a head start in contest prep and whatever. But also, I feel like learning basic math is necessary for whatever discipline you want to go into, like because like the world is increasingly running on STEM. And I personally feel like my math background has really helped me succeed in like STEM classes, science classes, CS classes, whatever. And so, yeah.
I was just sort of curious, how does like the math you learn in like the classroom versus like for competitions versus like when you're teaching people sort of differ, and like what do you sort of gain out of like each different experience?
So about school math, I'm lucky to attend Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant is a magnet school and it's generally very focused on academics and it's pretty open to like people like maybe skipping classes or it's just more dedicated to providing, in my opinion, like a more personal education for everybody, even though it's a really big school, which I appreciate. And so I'm currently a junior. So freshman year I took Algebra 2. I was able to skip geometry, and then sophomore year I took pre-calc and calc together, and now I'm taking linear algebra. And I think like being able to go through that at a faster pace, like obviously I didn't want to skip too many classes. Like I know people who skip to like multivariable calculus first year, but I feel like it's important to have that foundation of like solid algebra skills before moving on. But I know a lot of my friends who don't go to high schools that are like as accommodating as mine will like take class at a community college if they feel ready for it. So I just feel like if you are really passionate about math and you're in your school and you maybe feel like you're like restricted a little bit, it's great to maybe look for outside resources or like how you can progress. Sorry, I got kind of off track from the topic, but and then how it differs from contest math, I don't know. I would like, okay, this is kind of weird. It's hard to explain to people who don't go to Stuyvesant, but Stuyvesant's math team has a class. So if you're on a math team, you take a class every day. And so every day, first period, my first class of the day is math. So I do math for 40 minutes every day, first thing in the morning. I do it in my linear algebra class and I do it after school. So I do a lot of math every day. Um, and I think like even beyond like our math class is called problem solving. It's not called like AMC prep or like whatever, like proof solving. And I think it's called that for a reason because it's more about like training, like that kind of thinking. I feel like we don't necessarily learn a lot of theorems. Like I feel like most of the advanced theorems I learn are just from like talking to people. They're like, oh, I found this really cool thing online. Like, let me show it to you. It's not really like a teacher coming in and being like, everybody must memorize this theorem and like do this homework. So it's just in general more laid back and it's more about like practice and just getting into that frame of thinking. And then I feel like being able to think in that way, beyond like helping for contest prep, like obviously it helps a lot for like improving contest scores, but it also just makes things easier. Like I see this a lot actually because I'm taking APCS right now, and I feel like it's really helpful that like I know a lot of people struggle with the recursion unit, but having come from like a math background and be I've been doing so much math every day, like just that problem solving aspect is a little bit easier for me. And yeah, so it's helped me in a lot of like science classes, CS classes, and all that sort of stuff. So it might seem really different, like what you learn in contest math might not be applicable in your like everyday math class, but it just helps you think faster and be on your feet more often. And I feel like that helps anybody in whatever they're doing.
That makes a lot of sense. I was also just wondering sort of what experiences have you had in terms of math, like outside of school?
Um, okay, so outside of school, I would say so I've been a tutor with the organization called Math Matters for ever since middle school. Okay, so first of all, I have to plug this organization because they're amazing. It's called Math Matters. I think their website might be Math Matters for All, but if you guys are interested in it, let me know after because it's a lot of fun. So basically, it's a great way to like earn volunteer hours and you get to tutor like kids from across the country and it could be in contest math. Like you can indicate what levels you're comfortable with teaching with. So I started in middle school because I was kind of bored, like during quarantine, like I didn't really have anything to do. And so I started and I've been with them for like many years by now. I think maybe like 3 or 4. And so yeah, I'm currently like the vice president of chapters for Math Matters. And so I have a lot of experience with like the inner workings of the organization and they're just like a really well-intentioned organization. And I feel like one thing that people don't really realize is that like teaching isn't just about like helping other people. Like, of course, that's a most important part, but it's also about like understanding what you're teaching more. Um, a lot of my extracurriculars are related to teaching and just like helping other people understand material. And like you don't really realize it until you begin, but when you have to like regurgitate what you know in other words and make someone else understand it, like that's really it's a really good way to like improve your own understanding. Because sometimes I'll have like a very basic understanding of some problem, and when I try to teach someone else, and then they might like ask me a question because they're confused, and I realize that like wow, like I really did not fully understand that solution, and it kind of like prompts you like take a step back and see like what parts don't I understand, and in the process of trying to show someone else, like you kind of realize that for yourself. So I like teaching, I like volunteering, and that's a big part of what I do outside of school. Um, and then also, so outside of school, during the summer especially, I've attended a few math programs. Sorry, so freshman summer, I attended a program called Mathlier. And okay, the pronunciation is kind of weird, so I'm just going to search it up and put it in the chat. I'll put the website in the chat if anybody's interested because I 100% recommend the program. And it was like sort of my first taste of like what a math program could do for me. Before I went, I heard about it and it was kind of like scary because I was like, I wasn't sure whether I was ready to do like 5 weeks of just being away from home and just doing math all day. Um, so Mathlier is like basically the like less intensive. I don't know if I would use the word intensive, but it's intended to be like a precursor to their program Mathily, and it's intended for like younger students or people who haven't really like had a chance to do this type of discrete mathematics. And so I went freshman year and I really loved it. Like I feel like it really helped me to maybe transition a bit from like contest math where everything is about getting this question right as fast as possible and like maybe like beating other people. Like not that all contest math is about that, but to a certain degree it's more about like competitiveness and collaboration. And then I think going to Mathlier on one hand showed me like that collaboration can be really, really useful and that that should maybe be a priority over like comparison and other kinds of things. And it also really made me like better at writing proofs. I feel like um I really struggle with writing mathematically in general. Like I would be able to get answers, but when a teacher called on me to like share my solution, I would have a lot of trouble like articulating what I was doing. And that's like a problem because, I'm on a math team. I need to share my work. And also because as a teacher, it's important to be able to share like how I'm doing things. And so Mathlier helped a lot with that. It was my first math program. And then after Mathlier, so I really enjoyed in particular one of the courses at Mathlier that was about number theory. And so after that, I loved Mathlier, but one thing that kind of wasn't the ideal experience for me was that like they had a lot of classes. And so it wasn't like one continuous topic. They would have classes on like combinatorics, like game theory. We went over a lot of like numbers and like graph theory stuff. And so sometimes it felt a little bit like we would make some progress one week and then the next week we'd be on to something new and it felt like we didn't really explore that deeply. And so the next summer I looked for something that was a little bit more like, I guess, one track and more continuous with like how you grow through the program. And it was called PROMYS. And again, I feel like people don't ever really know how this is spelled. They always think I'm saying like promise, like the word. So I'm just gonna look it up and put the link in the chat again. But yeah. Okay, I sent it in the chat. So if you guys are interested, you should definitely check it out. Oh my God, I think I'm actually on the first page. I just saw my own face. That was kind of a jump scare. But yeah, so I went to this program the summer of my sophomore year. And so basically last summer, I don't know why I'm saying it so weirdly, but yeah, it was basically the best 6 weeks I've ever spent in my life. So it was basically just 6 weeks of doing number theory and like other like related math topics. I did a research project, I gave a presentation, I wrote a paper, and it felt like a really productive but fun way to spend the 6 weeks. A lot of people will ask me about what the difference is, like what I think the difference is between Mathlier and PROMYS. And I feel like one major difference is that PROMYS is in Boston, which is a big city, whereas Mathlier is in like sort of a rural area. It's more on the outskirts. So in PROMYS, you have more freedom to like explore and go out by yourself. And there's just like a lot more access to like very cool sites near you. And also mathematically, they give you a little bit more freedom. So you just have PSETs. You don't really have to be in classes all the time or be regulated by teachers. And so in my opinion, I'm glad I went to math year first because I feel like maybe I wasn't mature enough as a freshman to go through PROMYS and like keep myself regulated and be on top of things without someone to look over me. But I feel like if you are someone who feels like mathematically mature enough, like PROMYS is a really, really great choice. And yeah, I plan on returning to PROMYS this summer. So if I ever give this talk again, I guess I can talk a little bit more about what we do second year because that's also really cool.
That sounds amazing. I was also just wondering, sort of in terms of like finding opportunities related to math, do you have any tips or like experiences or any like advice when it comes to that?
So usually people ask me how I find opportunities. I really don't have a really good answer, but I would say like just be very open to things. Like sometimes you'll start something or you'll apply for something and you'll be like, wow, like there's literally no chance I'm gonna get in. Like so and so is so cool and talented, they didn't get in. Like what shot do I have? Or you'll maybe like see a program and be like, wait, this like doesn't entirely seem like a right fit for me. Like I don't know if I should try it. But I would say if you're looking for things to do, like just be very open to anything that comes your way. Um, and like stick with it. Like even if it gets challenging or like you don't have a lot of time, like stick with it. And if you're just a really good member, like you'll see opportunities being offered to you rather than you like maybe asking for or like doing things just for like a position. Like going back to Math Matters, I was a tutor with the organization for currently, I think I've been with them for 4 years. And the position I got, like I never really had to ask for. I volunteered like as many times as I could every week. I was there at all their like training facilities and I just did my best as a tutor. And like the leadership noticed and they asked me if I would like to, found my own chapter in New York City. They asked me if I'd like to join the executive board. And so just really like demonstrating the best version of yourself to whatever you're in. Like it catches people's attention. And like speaking of personal experience, like as someone who like is in a lot of leadership roles now, like we really notice people who um put in their best effort. Like recently, I'm one of the leaders of my math team, which is like really big. Like it has over 200 people. So sometimes people will be like, "Oh, like how am I ever going to get noticed? Like how will I ever become a leader?" But like surprisingly, not many people like are willing to do the small things, like put in full effort on homework and like write it out fully. And just like something small like that can really catch someone's eye and alert them to the fact that you're like really passionate about whatever you're doing. And that just leaves like a very good impression overall, in my opinion. So yeah. And more about like actual opportunities I would list. I would say if you're interested in math, like that's sort of what I'm talking about today. So I don't know if you have interest in other areas, like I don't have that much advice for you. But for math specifically, I would say you should join Math Matters. I think it's a really great chance to volunteer and tutor. I'll also link another program that I'm involved in. It's called Live by Poshan Low. Um, it's a it's a little bit more for high schoolers. Like I'm not really sure like what age group I'm speaking to right now, but if you are like someone in high school and you have a little bit more of competition math experience, teaching experience, it's a really cool internship. So you basically you get paid to learn how to be a better speaker and better communicator. So you basically just get paid to like improve yourself and you get to teach lessons and they're really fun. And yeah, it's just overall a great program. So check that out. And then I would say over the summer, definitely find something that you like to do. And that can be anything. Like I have friends who, for them, what they'll do is like they'll travel and that's like their meaningful experience. Or people will go to programs, they'll like take up a job, they'll do an internship. Just like make use of your summer in whatever way feels good to you. Like as long as you feel like you'll be happy at the end of your summer and feel like you're fulfilled with what you did, like that's all you need. But if you feel like you're not really doing anything and you want to do something, like I would say a math program is a really great idea. And even if you're like on the younger side, Mathlier takes middle school students. So yeah, I think it's a really good choice if you want to apply for something.
Sounds good. I was also just curious when it comes to, for example, more challenging competition problems or maybe like difficult like problem sets for like programs, etc. Do you have any tips in sort of like how to gauge like how to do things or maybe like if it's super frustrating, how you sort of work around that?
Yeah, so for contests, I would say like I tell to people a lot that like there's not really an infinite number of questions they can ask. Like there's only so many topics that they can really test at like a high school level for a math contest like AMC or like the other ones. And so if you do a lot of practice and you just like I don't know, like a lot of experience I get comes from again like talking to people, like other people around you are studying as well. And maybe like sometimes they'll be like my friend is having trouble with a question and they'll show it to me and like we work on it together. And now it's a question that both of us know. And it's just like being open to other people and working with them is really great because you're getting access to not just the questions that you find, but the questions other people have. And then for actual resources, like resources that I've used personally, I like Alchemist. Um, it's like on AOPS and it's like a question solver. I don't really know what the link is. I can try to find it. Oh, okay. Actually, that was really easy to find. Yeah, I guess it's pretty famous, but um, it feels a bit like a game. And then for the win, if you guys know that, it's also really fun. These are just like sort of like gamified ways to study that I personally like because sometimes I get bored and it's really fun if my studying comes in the form of a game. And then building off of like a talking to people thing, I would say if your school doesn't have a really strong math team, um, maybe join like a local math circle. Like I know some of my friends who are in New York City, but they don't go to Stuyvesant and they don't have access to like a regularly scheduled math team. They're like in New York City math circle classes, and I've heard really great things about those. I don't know if there's like a New Jersey alternative, but just like do some searching. Like I'm sure there's like virtual opportunities and just I think anything that involves like more than just studying on your own is definitely going to be a boost because you're just hearing from more people and seeing like their opinion on like solutions and stuff. And then as for I'm assuming by prom sets you're kind of referencing like Mathlier and PROMYS because oh I haven't spoken about this, but to get accepted to Mathlier or PROMYS or anything of their ilk where it's like competitive math programs that are like residential of their type, you need to submit a problem set. And the problem set can be really challenging. Like I think for PROMYS, like it took me a long, long time to like from start to end to submit it. Like I used like almost all my breaks on it. Um, and I still didn't solve all the questions. So I left some unsolved, but it was just like, and that's like advice I give to a lot of people because they'll try to apply for a program and they'll be like, wow, this is like really hard. Like I didn't even solve all the questions. Like maybe I'm not cut out for this. But like from personal experience, like I have never been fully able to like solve a problem set, like been able to solve every single part of it. Because I feel like there's always that part that like you don't really fully get, and it's like, maybe you don't want to spend too long on it and like cut into the time for the rest of the stuff. So I would say like whatever you do, just put down like all of your thoughts into whatever you submit. Like don't be afraid to tell the people that you're submitting the problem set to that like, hey, like I couldn't get the answer, but I tried this and this and this and it didn't work, but maybe we could fix that to try this. And it's just, it's helpful for them to see that you did your best and you put your full effort into it and that you made some progress because even a solution into like a dead end shows that you had some idea and that maybe in the future you can refine it and submit a better solution. And it just shows that you have potential because if you think about it, like, why would they want somebody who has solved every question? Like, their program is intended to make you a stronger mathematician. And so if you can demonstrate that you care and you have potential for growth, like that's what's important. You are someone that they can work with and help you to improve as a mathematician. And you might not be like the strongest student, but the strongest students might not even need to go to these programs because they can like self-study. So you're just showing them that you're a good fit and that you are prepared for the program while simultaneously not being like too prepared, which I think is helpful.
Sounds good. Then sort of to I was just wondering if you had any advice or recommendations for students who are just interested in the field of math in general.
Oh, sorry, you cut out a little bit. I'm not really sure if it's Wi-Fi on my end, but
Oh,
could you
sorry.
repeat the last part?
Yeah, of course, of course. I was just wondering, like, sort of to end off, what suggestions, like recommendations or advice you would have for students interested in pursuing math as a career or math as a major
Mhm.
in college.
So, yeah, I think it depends a little bit on like what type of math. Like I have friends who are very interested in pure math. Like I met a lot of them at PROMYS because that's obviously more of like a pure math area. And so many kids there like want to go into academia in the future or like teach or do research. And so that's like their interest. And I think for that, like summer math programs are really like the best thing you can do. Like that sort of immersive experience into like doing real math with real mathematicians and under their guidance is really like special. And it just shows colleges that you're applying to that you are prepared to handle like whatever they'll throw at you because like pure math is obviously pretty hard. Um, and then I'm I personally feel like I'm a little bit more interested in applied math. I'm not really sure like what exact field I want to go into, but maybe something with business. But so recently I've gotten pretty into mathematical modeling. I heard about this from my school math teacher. He teaches linear algebra, which is obviously like a more applied field of math, and he runs our school math modeling club. And so I'm also relatively new to this extracurricular, but I've had a lot of fun with it. So I recently competed in the IMCM, which is like the high school. Actually, let me see what it stands for. Sorry, I've just been calling it the IMCM. Okay, it's a high school mathematical contest in modeling. And it was a lot of fun. So it was basically like a little bit more, somewhere around a week. I'm not sure if it's more or less, but you basically get a limited amount of time and you're given a prompt and you write a paper on it and you submit that. And it's this year's prompt was, I believe, it was like modeling like the best sports that could be included in the upcoming Summer Olympics because we've obviously seen like an expansion of the Olympic roster in recent years, like including stuff like breakdancing or like other, I think they have surfing as well. That's what I remember. And so it was just about like analyzing what the Olympic Committee wanted to see in the Olympics and considering stuff like economic impact or like environmental consequences on what sports could be added. Um, if you guys are interested, I can show you my paper because we did really good. So basically, we won first place. And it was a really big surprise because this is my first math modeling contest ever. And it was just like really great to be recognized for that because we had very little experience. But yeah, we were the NCTM winner. And so we'll be competing in the international level soon. It's actually like in a few days. So I don't know. Maybe I'll let you guys know how that goes if I see you all again. But yeah. So if you guys want to see my paper, you can let me know and I can send it. I think it might be paywalled. Like I know it's available online, but for some reason they like are making people pay for it, which is kind of ironic because they didn't pay us anything, so I don't really know what's going on. But yeah. Um, and then recently we did two other contests. We did like one from Wharton. It was on data science. Honestly, it wasn't as fun. Like I feel like we didn't get as much of a chance to like write up why we made our model. It was just submitting like our model and our results. We haven't really gotten results back on that yet, but I guess we'll see. And then M3 is a very similar challenge where it's just like one day instead of over a week. And yeah, I think it's a like not very well known extracurricular, but I feel like it's growing bigger. At least in my school, it's like really taken off. Like this year, there were like I think four times as many competitors from our school as like last year. So it's really growing really fast. And I think it's a really good way to see like if you're actually interested in something. Because like personally, one thing I've always been worried about is like whether or not I'll actually enjoy doing math in the future, like in college and beyond. Because Like I was focused mainly on contest math, and I heard from a lot of people that contest math has very little to do with what you really do in the future. But like modeling is obviously something that will take you'll take with you in your career if you choose to do applied math the rest of your life. So if you try these contests and you feel like they're really enjoyable and you want to do more, like that's a really good indicator that maybe you are meant to do math in your future or like applied math at least. And so yeah, it's a good way to figure out whether math is a good fit for you in the future. And so I'd recommend everybody try it at least once.
Sounds good. By the way, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
And then I guess thank you so much for sort of speaking about your experience so far, and we'll open up the floor for like Q&A for maybe 5 minutes or so, depending on how many questions there are. Okay, I guess if there's no questions for now, that's okay. Thank you so much for coming, and once again, oh, okay, JK, there's a question. So, it's asked if you don't qualify for Amy, is there any camp you would recommend?
Um, oh, actually, yes. I feel a little bad for not mentioning this at all, but before I went to Math Lawyer, summer before I went to Awesome Math, I'll just link it again because I'm not sure if you can though. So Awesome Math is a little bit different. I feel like it focuses less on like higher level math and more on contest math. Like the program is for contest math in general. Um, I attended it before I qualified for Amy, I think. Yeah, I attended it after eighth grade, so the summer before ninth grade, and I hadn't qualified for Amy then. And so this could just be like correlation and not causation, but anecdotally, my AMC score jumped by over 20 points. So I don't know if that's like related at all, but I think it was pretty helpful. Um, I would say just to be careful because I applied and I signed up for level two because I figured like level one seemed a little bit too easy. But I probably should have stuck with level one. I think the difficulty scales really fast. So I don't know if you're like thinking about which one to do, like which level, like level one or level two, and you're deciding between that, maybe just round down and go level one because I kind of struggle with third week. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. And I would say if you do apply for this program and attend it, the best thing you can do is take advantage of the TA hours. Like my TA was really, really incredible. She was like an IMO silver medalist or something. And I was like, I don't know, she was just really, really cool. And I spent a lot of time talking to her and having her help me work through the questions because my teachers like weren't really available to answer questions. So I think she was the biggest resource that I got out of the program. And I stayed in contact with her for like a while, even after. And I was able to like ask her questions I was struggling with when I couldn't ask my teachers. So yeah, just to take advantage of the resources. And I think overall it's a pretty decent program.
Okay, sounds good. I guess if there's no other questions, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. A special thank you for Audrey for making the time to come here today. And if there's any questions, you can either like reach out to us on WeChat or to our email, which I guess I'll post in like the chat. Okay. So like if any later questions or any questions arise later or anything like that, feel free to just shoot us an email. Yeah. Have a good night, everyone. Okay. Bye. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.